It is reported that on the 17th, the DOJ of the U.S. released a report showing that the annual domestic gun production in the U.S. from 2000 to 2020 increased almost by 2 times, from 3.9 million to 11.3 million, and a total of 139 million guns for the commercial market was produced. At the same time, the U.S. has been criticizing China's human rights issues. Do you have any comment on that?
我注意到了美方
I have noted this report by the U.S. with staggering numbers. The frequent, egregious mass shootings in the U.S. remind people the heavy cost of U.S. gun violence. The Giffords Law Center on Gun Violence has released a report recently that in the U.S., almost every American would know at least one victim of gun violence, and they are directly or indirectly related to all kinds of shooting incidents. Such shooting incidents have become a part of life and nightmare of Americans at all social strata and all age groups. Gun violence is not only the U.S. own endemic, but it's also a pandemic the U.S. has brought to neighboring countries. Gun violence has brought greater damage to Latin America and Caribbean region far more than the U.S. itself. According to Latin American media, 98% of illegal guns from Haiti and Panama come from the U.S., and this proportion is high as 50% in Central America. In 2020, 70% of all the guns and weapons recovered in crime scenes in Mexico came from the United States. Gun violence is intertwined with other social issues like inequality, racism, and wealth gap in the U.S. But due to dollar politics, polarized politics in the U.S., the gun proliferation issue has not been eradicated for many years, for which people have paid a heavy price. Some organizations championing ownership of guns have publicized the gun extremist culture and touted the myth of gun don't kill people, the people kill people. Some interest groups of guns and weapons provide a huge sum of money to political elections, and lobbyists manipulate policies. As a result, many gun control legislation became aborted. The right to life is the fundamental human right. But the gunshots have shattered the so-called fantasy of all humans are entitled to unalienable freedoms and liberty. And people have every reason to have deep reflection on the US-style human rights, democracy, and freedom. If the U.S. cannot protect the basic right to life of its own people, then in what position can the U.S. pass judgment on human rights conditions of other countries?